Welcome to yet another edition of In Depth for a closer look at what is making mining headlines in the Americas. Record and rising gold prices mean that exploration and development companies are generating a lot more excitement than around this time last year. But it seems some regions are more interesting than others. Liz O'Hill, our deputy editor in Toronto, Canada, joins me to discuss this issue. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Martin.
What are the parts of the world that are hot right now?
I think the first two places that come to mind that I would discuss are actually, interestingly enough, both in Africa. Starting with West Africa, there's really a lot of excitement at the moment among investors about the region. And I think partly because of the deal that we saw just recently in which Kinross Gold bought Redback Mining for $7 billion. I suppose it's a bit of a chicken and egg question, which came first, the excitement or the deal. But certainly the discussions, the analysis, the forecasts that all happened in the lead up to the shareholder vote on Kinross's transaction certainly did help to generate a lot of interest in the potential for increased or new big gold finds in West Africa. Redback Mining, as you know, their two assets are gold mines in Mauritania and Ghana. And Kinross, the reason that Kinross bought the company is really based on the upside potential for those assets and the Mauritanian mine in particular. Of course, there's already big gold companies active in the region. You've got your Newmonts, your AngloGold Ashantis, Randgold Resources, IAMGOLD, all got mines and looking for and making new gold discoveries. But I think there are also, you've got your junior companies, a little bit larger, maybe aspiring mid-tiers, also active in the region. And I think what we might see is that some of those companies are going to be drawing perhaps attractive takeover offers and maybe even being taken out, just as we see all this excitement around the potential for gold in West Africa, and of course driven by the whole higher gold prices that we're seeing. Secondly, and perhaps a little unexpectedly, not something that one would think of as far as an exciting gold camp is concerned, but we're seeing a lot of interest around Eritrea, further to the east of Africa. And I think maybe a catalyst for this has been Nevsun Mining, which is about to start up its new Bisha project in the country. In fact, the government of Eritrea owns 40% of the project, and only 10% of that is the free carried interest to which the government is entitled. The state actually went ahead and bought an additional 30% of the project. And maybe in the beginning, about 6 years ago or so, there were some problems that Nevsun had being ordered to stop work on the project. But once that was sorted out, the government took this stake. The government really has been very supportive of Nevsun and also of developing mining in Eritrea in general. In fact, Bisha will be the first modern day mine to be built and operated in Eritrea. And there certainly is increasing interest from investors, from companies looking to see, now that it's opening up, it's looking more exciting, what they can go in and do there. In fact, I read an article in the Newswire a little while ago that Harmony Gold CEO Graham Briggs indicated that Eritrea is one of the companies is one of the countries that is on his company's watch list of interest. So certainly, I think we will hear more about that country going forward.
And I understand there is something of a second gold rush happening in the famous Yukon territory of Canada.
That's right. It's very interesting. Everyone knows about the Klondike or the Yukon gold rush of the late 19th century. But we haven't really heard much as far as Yukon and gold is concerned ever since then. But now, and it's a very interesting story, really thanks to one man, a prospector named Sean Ryan. He spent years working, living in the area with his wife, his two children, living in a shack, and just doing thousands of soil samples, determined to find the source of that Klondike goldfields. And just over time, he sort of put the clues together and developed a theory or technique for assessing where the gold might lie under the surface and where the big deposits and discoveries might be found. And this has just generated, since he's started having success, he optioned a property to a company called Underworld Resources, which in fact has already been bought out this year by Kinross Gold again. two other companies that got in early on the action, ATAC Resources, and we really are seeing a lot of excitement. Companies are wanting to come in and stake. It's a sort of this new big area play or camp play that we're seeing in the Yukon. So I think we're going to see more excitement, and as the land starts getting shorter, as more and more of the area around Ryan's discoveries starts getting staked, I think it'll become increasingly competitive in the area.
Then there is also growing investor interest in Colombian mining. But what about the security concerns that we have seen in the past in this part of the world?
Yes, I think that's something that really is tops in investors' minds. Security still, to an extent, does remain an issue. You know, we hear these reports every now and again of incidents. Just recently, in September, a coal mine owned by Anglo-American BHP Billiton and Xstrata, Colombia is the 5th biggest coal exporter in the world. They reported an attack was assault by FARC rebels. But I think by and large what we're hearing both from the analysts, the researchers, as well as from companies that are actually active on the ground, is that the security situation has improved dramatically. And also because of government policies wanting to improve the attractiveness of the country for investment, we have seen the attractiveness of Colombia for mining and exploration has improved a lot. You know, I think a lot of investors in North America have this picture in their minds, maybe going back to Hollywood movies of a decade ago, of executives being kidnapped en masse and kept in these jungle camps. But the situation has improved a lot, and as a result, companies are coming into Colombia. And it really, both from an investor point of view, investors want to get in on the action. They're looking for the companies that are active there. And also mining, big and small mining companies are looking to get in on the area. You know, when you talk to companies, gold companies that are interested in expanding, and you ask, what countries are you wanting to get into, it's usually the usual suspects, the Chiles, the Perus, the Mexicos. But increasingly, I'm hearing, and surprisingly often, Colombia thrown out as a country of interest. So if we look at companies that already are there, you've got your AngloGold Ashanti. They announced their big La Colosa discovery a few years ago, and they're slowly advancing that, getting through the permits they need. Ventana Gold, if you talk about excitement, that certainly was a company that had a lot of excitement on the TSX last year. Ventana saw its share price rise more than 1,000% at one point in 2009, just based on the sort of the buzz around these results that they were announcing from their Bodega project in Colombia. The shares dipped a bit after that. They had a legal dispute, but there certainly is a lot of excitement. And a company that's getting ready to build a mine, in fact, in Colombia is Greystar Resources out of Vancouver. They've got their Angostura gold and silver project. So increasingly, that really is something that people are excited about. You mentioned Colombia, you have a seminar on Colombian mining, it draws a lot of interest, people are coming in. So certainly I think we will see more companies, and especially Canadian companies, from the TSX and the Venture Exchange looking to get in early on the action in Colombia.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Lizzo. We'll speak to you again next week. Well, that was the show for today. Join me again next week for more news and insight into mining developments in North America. Thank you. I'm Martin Joaquin in Johannesburg.